Earlier, some of us were briefed on some ongoing efforts by the department, Mr. Chairman, and I might add it was very informative, and thank you all very much for doing it. Our hearing today is examining the President's cybersecurity information sharing proposal. Mr. Chairman, at its core, cybersecurity relies on effective information sharing among network operators about indicators, hacks, and cyber vulnerabilities. This committee has been central in its effort to foster better cyber information sharing by producing bipartisan cyber security legislation that President Obama signed into law at the end of last year. As you talked about it, the National Cyber Security Protection Act of 2014 authorizes the National Cyber and Communications Integrity Center, NCIC, within the Department of Homeland Security as an information sharing hub for cybersecurity risk and incidents, and directed the NCIC to provide technical assistance, risk management support, and incident response capabilities to impacted network operators. The legislative proposal that the President unveiled last month has again spurred debate. Importantly, the administration's proposal would require participating companies to comply with certain privacy restrictions, such as removing unnecessary personal information and taking measures to protect any personal information to qualify for liability protection. In my view, the President's proposal has some merit. As we go forward, we should consider the following questions. First, what is being shared? Is it just computer code made up of zeros and ones, or does the information contain American-sensitive personal data? If it does contain personal data, I believe that reasonable efforts should be made by participating companies to remove personally identifiable information from information shared with the government that will help to preserve Americans' privacy. Second, who is doing the sharing? Is it a critical infrastructure operator? Third, where is the sharing happening? The answer to the question has privacy implications, particularly when the sharing is between the federal government and the private sector, as opposed to sharing between private sector companies. I look forward to hearing testimony from our witnesses on the potential risk and rewards of a cyber information sharing environment dominated by ISAO, pronounced ISO, as the President envisions. Certainly, I'd like to hear how the proposed changes could impact NCIC. The success of NCIC is dependent on the companies being the value proposition for sharing with the Department. I look forward to hearing from the Department on how they intend to drive traffic to the NCIC and how implementation of a new cyber law is progressing. I'd also like to hear more about the new education grant program that the President has proposed. While I'm pleased that the President seems to agree about the importance of making this investment in growing our cyber workforce, I'm disappointed that the proposal calls for just $5 million a year to be spent over 5 years at 13 historically black colleges and universities and 2 national laboratories is disappointing, especially in light of a documented shortfall in cyber workforce. Given the billions of dollars spent on cybersecurity, much of which is spent on federal contractors, I would have expected a more ambitious plan for developing cyber tactic. Before I close, I'd like to note that on February 11th, together with the Chairman and the leadership of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, we wrote to the President about the new Cyber Threat Intelligence Integration Center. We look forward to a formal response to our questions, particularly as they relate to the NCIC. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today and working with the Chairman on forthcoming legislation to help ensure that the networks of our nation's critical infrastructure are more secure. With that, I yield back.